and an opportunity to rejuvenate, to refresh, and build up that strength that we need to keep on going and to build and renew our relationships with each other and with God as we are a little bit more intentional when we take this time for Shabbat. So I'd like to just say welcome and welcome us into this shared space together, and wish you all a beginning of your Shabbat that is filled with rest and reflection. And we'll join together with a few songs. Courtney, if you want to begin.
Shiru Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru Adonai shir chadash, Shiru Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru Shir Chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song. As we welcome in Shabbat together in song, we also welcome in a pure heart for a new day. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within. Olam chesed, olam chesed yibana. Olam chesed yibana. Olam chesed yibana. Olam chesed yibana. I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Let's ooh, We welcome in Shabbat together by lighting the candles, and those of you who have candles, I invite you to join me in lighting, and then we will say and sing the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamur v'zachur b'dibur echad yishmianu elam yuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'li tehila. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu ve'nilcha ki mikol haberacha merosh v'kedem nisucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yitoreri ki va'orech u'mihori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai alayik nigla. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha u'b'tzohola toch emunei amzegula. Boi chala lecha dodi likat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Berchat dodi kat kalai hanalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. We join together in singing the words of Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bolechem l'shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu l'shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malchei Hashalom, Malchei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yitkadal Shemir Rabbah Belma Divrach Yotev Yamlik Malchutei Bechai Echonu Yom Echon Uvchayed Kol Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Kariv Vehimaru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mefarach Ve'ala Mulal Ve'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach Vishtabach Yitbahar Vitramam V'yitnase V'yithadar V'yithalel V'yithalal Shemei Dekudesha Brichu Lahela Mikol Bechata V'shirata Tush Bechata V'nechemata Damiran Ve'alma Ve'yimeru Amen. I'll invite those of you to please rise, whether it be spiritually or physically, and join in the Baruch Hu. Yai rai rai, yai rai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai, yai rai rai, yai rai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai, yai rai 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 rai, rai 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 rai, yai rai 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 rai. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. Yai rai rai, yai rai rai rai, yai rai 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 rai.
We continue with the words of Ma'ariv, Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, v'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitbuna meshana itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, v'mishmeroteham berakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil bein yom uvein layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo, el chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove yourself from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Avad. You may be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום ללבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה עליינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי ודע אדוני את יעקב וגלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu leshalom. תלמידנו, שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Yismechu v'malachutecha shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha shomrei, shomrei, shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Mekareshi Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yisbu, V'tangu Mituvecha Shabbat, Yismechu V'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat V'korei oneg Shabbat, Yismechu V'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Uvashvi ratzita bo v'kirashtu Shabbat. Chemdat yamim oto karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh Bereshit Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh Bereshit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. We'll ask those who are able to please rise and join us, whether it be in spirit or physically, for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agit ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Hoseh Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Zerat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chayei HaKol atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatah,
מחלקי לחיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Ritzei, Ritzei, Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, ve'hamcha Yisrael, u'tefilatam, ve'avat kabel, u'teil ratzon tamid, u'teil ratzon tamid, Avodat Yisrael Amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha, b'yirat avod, she'otecha levadecha, b'yirat Modim anachnu lach, Modim anachnu lach. We thank you, God, for all your gifts. Modim anachnu lach, modim, modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach. We thank you, God, for all your gifts. Modim anachnu lach, modim anachnu lach.
Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We now take a moment for our own thoughts and reflections, perhaps on the meaning of peace, perhaps just the prayers of our heart.
Say shalom, bimromav, uyase shalom, aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'al kol yoshei tevel. Vimaru, Amen.
Hello again, and Shabbat Shalom. I'm sorry that we're having a little bit of a connection problem. I'm assuming you all are also having trouble with some of the pictures. I just want to apologize and let you know it's hard to know from week to week how things are going to come across, but it's good to be together, and that's the most important thing. And I want to start by simply going back a week and again, reflecting on what Judy Heller had shared with us. I hope some of you, if you were not here last week, had a chance to listen to her sermon that was posted on Tuesday with the tidbits. She spoke last week about the holiday of Tisha B'Av. I don't know if holiday is the right word, but it is a commemoration more of that. And so this week is also related to the calendar. So last week was Tisha B'Av, and this week is something called Tu B'Av. And in addition, it also happens to be a matrix of time that includes one of the Shabbats of consolation. It's one of the first of, I believe, 7 leading up until Rosh Hashanah that follows this this commemoration of the temple's destruction. And this holiday of Tu B'Av, it's not very well known. It's simply, like that other holiday in the month of Av. I kind of think about it as sort of like what Sweetest Day is to Valentine's Day, and that everyone knows what Valentine's Day is. You say sweetest, and you think, oh, that's what Hallmark made something up, right? But I think of it especially when it comes to Tu B'Av because they both actually have something to do with love. Is anyone familiar with the holiday of Tu B'Av? Probably not. It's an interesting thing. It is both an ancient and a modern holiday. It was originally about a day of matchmaking that was done for unmarried women in the time period before the destruction of the before the second temple fell in the year 70 CE. In modern days, it's sort of seen as the Jewish Valentine's Day. We're taught in the Mishnah, which was sort of the end of the 2nd century, that Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel said, there were no better, no happier days for the people of Israel than the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur, since on these days, the daughters of Israel in Jerusalem would go out dressed in white and dance in the vineyards. What they were saying, young men, consider whom you choose to be your wife. And so it was an opportunity for people to gather together and to focus on love. And it's also told that there was a period where in marrying between the different tribes was something that was really discouraged. But we're taught that there was a time when this is Tu B'Av, on which that regulation was dispelled. And so on Tu B'Av, it was okay. You could marry whoever you loved. You didn't have to be so burdened by what those expectations were, which I think speaks on one level to the relationships between people of different groups who have different things in common, but also, again, this idea of loving and what does it mean to love. So one of the things about the holiday of Tu B'Av that's interesting is it is on the 15th of the month. Literally, Tet Vav means 2 or 15. And so we know that when we go by the Hebrew calendar, the 15th of the month, the middle of the month, is going to have a full moon, right? So no better a time for people to be out dancing in white and, you know, getting to meet one another and entice someone to fall in love with you than that. In Israel, because again, it continues to be in the middle of the month, people continue to hold festivals of singing and dancing under that big full moon. And really it is a reminder this week of the joy that followed even the destruction of our temples, that we as a people have to continue to live and continue to celebrate, whether it be our relationships with each other, that love, or simply have the hope to, pick ourselves back up even in the state of despair and literally have a Shabbat of consolation, a Shabbat where we are consoled and given the opportunity to find something that brings us strength at a time when we could easily focus on what breaks us down. It's interesting, at least this year, that Tu B'Av coincides with this Torah week, this Torah portion for this week, which is the Et Hanan. On this one, we found that Moses is speaking still to the Israelite people. This is, again, I don't remember if it was in Torah study or in here that, well, no, it wouldn't have been here because Judy, you spoke last week. We were talking about, there's a period where we start, people say, where did you begin in the book of Devarim? We began on one side of the Jordan. And where did we end up at the end of, still in the same place. We didn't move very far. It was really about reflection and about conversation and intentionality. And Moses really trying to get something across to the people that was so urgent and important before he had no longer the opportunity to help lead them into the land. And so what are some of those things that were so important to him? In this Torah portion, we see that. It's one where we are reminded, and he speaks in this, first person, the second person singular, where he gives us the Shema and the V'ahavta, and is reminding us of those things like the 10 Commandments that are central to who we are, right? When we think about consolation, if you will, at least in my mind, sometimes going back to basics is a really good form of consolation and remembering what is it that's really important at the heart of it all. And when we focus in not only on consolation, but love, then I think to me, it goes back to that sort of message that I heard from Judy last week, where she was talking about the most important thing. We may disagree, but the most important thing is to treat one another and come from a position of love and understanding. And that's what I'm taking into this week as well. I think that we're even instructed in this Torah portion to say that we are to bless God even for evil. It's a hard one to swallow. But even that is something that's supposed to be taught in our tradition. And you might remember that from when we talk about Sholem Aleichem and, the bad angel and the good angel, and they both have to say amen to each other because you still have to bless God no matter what. And so what is it that we are going to be going back to God and saying thank you for? What are the blessings? How is it that we're going to bring this love back, even in times after despair, after the destruction of things, that we bring ourselves back up? And it's not easy for us when we remember that we're commanded via hafta, you shall love. because it's not always easy. It's a commandment for a reason. We've seen this, especially last week with Tisha B'Av, when we talk about kamsa and bar kamsa and loving one's neighbor, even when they have done things to dishonor you or to embarrass you before others, but we're still a part of community. I think this week in particular, I've seen it, especially with regards to the people of Israel coming together and loving the state of Israel. We all love ice cream, right? But I think that I've never seen ice cream be more at the center of the conversation among Jews than I have this last week with what was going on with Ben and Jerry's. I don't know if you're familiar with Ben and Jerry's or what's been going on with that. And the conversation we're going to sell across the Green Line to areas that they see as occupied territory. The conversations that are being had on the internet, as far as what does it mean to love Israel? What does it mean to love your fellow Jews? Does it mean that you toe the party line? Do you always support Israel? Or does it mean that you continue to support one another when you disagree? This question to me is, I don't have a great answer for you because there is no right answer. The question is, are we prepared to do the work of loving that reminds us that it's not easy to love because of all these other things that come in our way? It's not easy to find commonality when we talk about loving Israel sometimes. It's not easy to talk about loving the community of Israel, Klal Yisrael, when we have people who have such different feelings about traditions, the women at the wall or whatever it may be. It's so difficult for us to stand together. And yet we have to remember that we are what remains. We have survived. This is our consolation. Our consolation is one another. And we root that in our love for God. And so my thought is that on this Shabbat, where we are to recognize that consolation, celebrate love, and return to our roots as we prepare for the high holidays, that it's a good time for us to ask ourselves, what does it mean for us to be commanded to love? What does it mean about sometimes experiencing tough love? What does it mean to return to our love for God, to express our love of Torah? And I think that being a part of our community and being in relationships, including God, sometimes means that there's work to do. But God teaches us that it is important to try to put things behind us sometimes. Even seen with like that in-marrying of the tribes with Tu B'Av, that just like God encouraged Moses to keep finding faith and strength as he knew that he was standing on the other side of this Jordan, never crossing over with this people. We too need to find the encouragement, and we need to take the time to practice loving and to reconnect by reminding ourselves that nothing's passive, including love. And so refining our skills of loving is what I would want us to take away this week, and to remember, what does it mean? How do we treat each other? And how can we do better with finding that love? Something for us to think about. And with that in mind, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. At this time, we call to mind all who are in need of healing. We think of those in our community who are in need of prayers of health, of wholeness. In particular, just one moment. In particular, we find that we are praying for Nikki Lapine, Jonathan Carrico, Noah Lapine Carrico, Jennifer Thomas Larson, Marlene Mayman, Cecily Nathan, Sarah Swenson, Candace Chapin, Diane Schreier, Jim Hagan, Gershon Reuven Ben Esther, Linda Dean Harris, Rivka Bat Avraham Visara, William Rossi, Rosalind Moss, Pat Bloom, Ronald Epstein, Helen Fine, James Hockman, Christine Wagner, Tracy Huddleston, Joe McKenna, Jerry McDonald, Richard Lieberman, Joel Pinsker, Marty Sacker, Bob and Gert Kahn, Chelsea Smith, Deborah Seidel, and of course, all who we name now in our hearts, or perhaps if you want to share them in a chat or out loud as well. And as we continue on the next page, Yishaberach Avotenu v'Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, V'Yivarech et HaCholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us together say, Amen.
Yishaberach Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Yishaberach Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with the vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mishberach Avotenu, Mishberach Imotenu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer. Hear our prayer and bless us as well.
We join together as a community and rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגרעי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם כרכנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated.
At this time, we turn our hearts to those who are no longer with us. We are in a period of aninut, of mourning for Phil Rubin, a period of Shiva for Opal Law, and a period of Shloshim for Sil Sapensley, Sally Green, and Vitaly Berkovich. We also remember those who have died at this season in years past, for whom we are observing their yahrzeits. We remember this week Blanche E. Asher, Mayor J. Bachrach, Jesse Bierman, Marie Spertelstein, Isidore Bloom, Hannah Bookbinder, Solomon Moses Kaplan, Robert L. Klein, Joseph Cohen, James Cohen, Franklin Cohen, Hans Gurneys, Theodore E. Goldenberg, Lenora T. Green, Harry Green, Mary Gruenberg, Harry F. Hampel, Albert Harris, Herbert M. Harris, Samuel J. Harris Jr., Carrie Huber, John Indelecio, Max M. Kahn, Hyman Kolbach, William Lapidus, Ella Levine, Joshua Levine, Melvin Lipton, Paula Litwitz, Charles McCudis, Philip B. November, Miriam Prigozhin, Simon Sanders, Harriet Sanders, Charlotte E. Schumann, Elsie L. Shumsky, Dorothy Graf Slavin, Ruth M. Tepping, Flora Thompson, Ruth K. Tieber, Herman J. Weissman, and Louis Weprin. And of course, if there are other names to be remembered, please bring them forward. I know, Meredith, you had also wanted us to include the names of those from Florida, from the high rise that had fallen, and we remember them, of course, as well. I invite all who are remembering or in mourning to please rise first. And we as a community stand up together, lovingly to recite the words of the Mourner's Kaddish as one. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chaye echon v'yom echon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha barichu. Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran v'yalma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim maybe he's back. So I hope that didn't prevent anyone from being able to recite the Kaddish with us. And Courtney, would you like to continue?
Sure. Invite those of you who have fruit of the vine to raise your glass, and we will join together for the Shabbat Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava ufratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha, v'ahava uvratzon, Ilchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh, HaShabbat, L'chaim. L'chaim. I think Rabbi has her challah she can hold up for all of us. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'te'avon. Te'avon, Shabbat Shalom.
Absolutely. It's wonderful to see you all. If anyone would like to unmute yourselves to wish one another a Shabbat Shalom, it's a wonderful opportunity. Before you do that, just to let you know, we do have services tomorrow in person at Temple at 11 o'clock, and hopefully we'll get to see some of you there. And we also have our normal Torah study in the morning as well. So if anyone wants to unmute yourselves and wish each other Shabbat Shalom, that'd be great.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom each other.
Shabbat shalom.